Hope Connections was founded in 2018. We worked full on throughout the pandemic, and it was more of a crisis intervention because obviously people were self-isolating. We were supplying emergency food parcels, we were getting people mobile phones to allow them to stay connected with others because we realised that there was a big impact on people's mental health. Since then, and now things are getting a wee bit more back to normal, we have recently secured a partnership agreement with SPS, and we're working in Her Majesty's Prison Berlin. We're looking to be doing some group work, some one-to-one interventions. I'm going to be doing some trauma work with the guys.
I started at Hope Connections maybe about 6 months ago. I was volunteering with them a bit prior to that when I got out of treatment. I was caught up in addiction for like 28 years, 27 years or something, and I've done small sentences as well in prison, and it took me to a place that I didn't want to be. And didn't really any direction, and I sort of got to know Kevin. He got me volunteering to keep my days sort of busy and that, do you know what I mean? And up and I started doing a wee walking group and that with Hope Connections, and then they gave me wee more bits of responsibility as time went on, and then they eventually asked me, did I want to start working with them, do you know what I mean? And I was privileged to get that offer, and I took that offer up.
So I was trapped in addiction for an awful long time, spent 12 years in prison, and I tried to get clean many times before and gone into rehab and detoxes and moved countries and done all that type of stuff, and I ended up on a life support machine. Someone tried to kill me and I ended up in Glasgow. So I met Ian McFarlane, who's now the CEO of the Blue Triangle, in a recovery cafe in Whiteinch, and he said to me, what do you think about starting something? Like sort of bridging the gap for people who are coming out of rehab, prison, because it's a drop-off point for people where they just get left and they're on that like hamster wheel again to come back into either addiction or whatever it is. We walked all over the city and we were just going into services and just speaking to people and building relationships with people. And that's how I come to Hope Connections.
So I think Throughcare just means like just that simple thing about giving people a second chance. I think a lot of the times people have had to pay for a long time for mistakes they've maybe made in their past, and I think now people are changing their attitudes a wee bit towards that. So Throughcare to me would mean anything that you can help somebody to move on from their past life experience. Within Hope Connections we do that by, obviously we've got a non-judgmental approach. We've got people who are going to speak about their lived experience and where they've came from. They're working with us as volunteers to begin with, and then they became paid employees.
Throughcare, well I've had Throughcare in the past and it was like when I was in like prison, and I was waiting to get out, and they couldn't get me into a place to stay that night, and he took me to like a wee hostel. It was a wee pay-in one, and I'd done that. But we also do things like Throughcare as well, where I go up sometimes and I'll get boys that's getting released for the jail, and I'll take them about to get their benefits up and running, and then I'll take them out to meet their housing officer and just helping people out, try to get them off to a better start in life, do you know what I mean, rather than just coming out and getting right back into the rat wheel, do you know what I mean? It's just a constant cycle, so we try and break that cycle, do you know what I mean? And then hopefully if they stay clean, we'll walk along with them.
When I've been released from custody in the past, I've just been in for years or however long it is, and then I've got to come up and I've got to go to DWP by myself. I've got to make doctor's appointments, I've got to go and see dentists, I've got to do this, and it's all really, it's overwhelming when you've had your life managed for a period of time by other people, and then you've got to do stuff yourself. So Graham gets people at the gate and he will take them down to the Simon Community Hub, get all the benefits set up, take them down to Hunter Street, get them accommodation, stuff like that.
I think it's important that you should pass your experience on how you got clean for an example to them that it can be done. Do you know what I mean? It was like people I used to use with, and I never ever thought I would get clean and do all this sort of stuff, sitting people want to hear my story and all that. I really didn't. I'd lost all hope. I really had. I'd lost hope that I was going to get stuff and all that back in my life. So for me to turn around and tell others that, do you know what I mean? It inspires them to do it, do you know what I mean? Especially ones that knew you, do you know what I mean? In places like the prison and all that, places that we've been, people that we've used with. I think it helps them because I know people that I used to, I'm not sitting saying names that I used to use with, And rather than people coming up saying, oh, you do this, you do that to get clean, just seeing them was enough to make me inquisitive about how did you do that, how did you manage to get clean and be where you are. So it's important for me to go into like prisons and that to share my story with these people to instill a bit of hope in them that it can be done.
I didn't get into social care because it's a great paid job. I didn't. I got into it because I've spent my life being managed by people, by judges, probation officers, prison officers, police, criminal justice. I've spent my life being in that sort of in that sort of fishbowl. So that's why I do it, to try and make a bit of a difference.